Welcome, students of Form 3. Like I said, we will look at the quality of the answer, and by doing that, of course, I will help you to find the answer. But if you find in your own answer the same elements, the same aspects, a lot of the same terminology, words that you find in my answer, it is also correct. It is not math. There is room for your answer. I'm just giving an example of how your answer should look like, helping you to get there. Yeah? And the question is explain why there was a supply of slaves ready to be sold by the African chiefs to Europeans around the 1500s. So 1510, 1550, 1570, by using the words taxes, private property, and rates. Yeah? Taxes is what people in the country pay to their ruler. Private property is the things you own privately. You, me, we own all kinds of stuff. We own a computer, we own a pen, we own a book, I hope, a PlayStation, and raids. Is when another group of people come and they take away your stuff, your belongings, often violently. It's like kidnapping, but then an organized scale, actually. Okay, let's look at the question and especially now the answer, of course. There was a supply of slaves ready to be sold to the Europeans around the 1500s. Yeah. Like I said before, we start the question by getting, we start the answer, sorry, by getting back to the question. Yeah, because the question is why was there a supply of slaves ready? And I begin the answer with there was a supply of slaves ready to be sold to the Europeans around the 1500s. Yeah, because is like a signal word, a marking word, and it helps you connect the beginning with the rest of the answer. Because the chiefs did not collect taxes. Instead, one of the few forms of private property were slaves. A chief, a word I used before, or ruler could obtain slaves. He could get them by fighting wars or organizing raids on other people. So a chief can, as slaves as private property. How can he obtain? How can he get more slaves? By fighting wars or organizing raids on other people. So the system of slavery existed in Africa around the 1500s, and there were slaves ready to be sold when the Europeans, we know now in the beginning, those were the Portuguese, when they arrived. Remember Henry the Navigator and all the map makers and ship makers and navigation instrument makers, when they arrived in West Africa, there were slaves there already. There was slavery as a system already present in West Africa and also in the interior Africa. It was already there. Yeah. Okay. Because this was a pretty decent and yeah, pretty clear explanation. I think I'm going to do two questions in one clip, if you don't mind. Then the second question. Describe in depth two aspects of the journey from the interior of Africa, so like in the middle of Africa or deep in Africa, to the coast. The coast is like where the ships come, where the harbors are, where the slave ports were that are recognizable on picture 2.7. And you can find this picture on page 44 of your textbook of Caribbean history. Yeah, and I googled it, and I've also found the picture on Google. So I also put it here, but then smaller. There are more aspects to be found, probably, but the two that I found is one aspect that is recognizable in the picture below is that the people are bound together by their heads or other parts of their body, and you can see this clearly in different areas of picture 2.7. So this is a description in depth of the things you can recognize. on picture 2.7 that I put below. Another aspect that you can recognize on the picture below is that some of them, one in front, yeah, that's here, and one in the back, that's here, carry a basket on their heads. Often enslaved Africans had to carry water or ivory or hides, and here they put it on their heads, but there are also other ways in which they could carry them. So the kidnappers or the people who were doing raids, perhaps another group of African people, perhaps Arab Africans, yeah, they also made them carry other stuff so they could make more profit and they could earn more by doing this. Yes. So now we did two aspects of the things you can recognize on the picture 2.7 to be found, sorry, on page 44. I hope you learned from my explanation. And again, it's about the quality of your answers. And when I say in depth, when you have to describe, you really got to put more effort to it to describe it. And perhaps it feels like you're lingering on and telling more and more, but that is the academic, in depth quality that is asked of you in the CSEC program of the SKAIH Pre-Universitario. So I really try mm, to do some training on this, to put a different mindset in your mind to get us there. Yeah. I hope you learned something from it. If you have questions, remarks, feedback, put it below.